As if I don't already have enough camcorders, here's another one. And those of you who have a good eye might see something already about it that's a little bit unusual, at least here in the USA. That's the brand name there. This is what's ordinarily known as the JVC GZ-MG505 Everio hard drive camcorder. But this is the domestic Japanese market version, and in Japan, JVC goes by the brand name Victor, including the His Master's Voice Nipper logo, which RCA Victor used many years ago here in the USA. Now, of course, JVC stands for Japan Victor Corporation, so that's how it all ties in. It also has printed on here in big shiny letters 3CCD. This camcorder uses three 1.33 megapixel CCD image sensors, which gives you one each for red, green, and blue, as opposed to most camcorders which use one image sensor to do all three primary colors. This was JVC's top-of-the-line Everio camcorder for 2006. However, it is not high definition, it is only standard definition, although they do advertise a 5 megapixel still image recording, although I believe that's interpolated. Now, since this is a Japanese home market camcorder, all the controls are labeled in Japanese, although with the help of an English owner's manual, which I printed out, it was pretty easy to figure out what each one does. And of course you can switch the menu system over to English, and then it's pretty easy to control. I'll just switch on here. The first step is the playback mode. So in a second here, as it spins up the hard drive, you'll see the videos I've recorded on it so far. And then I'll go over to the second step, which is the video or photo recording mode. And you get a switch here to switch between movies and photos. So photos are 4:3 and videos can be either 4:3 or 16:9. You actually get a switch on the joystick here to switch between the aspect ratios. And this is not a touchscreen, which I like. You use a joystick and buttons. So you get different features on the joystick itself, although most of them are only applicable to manual mode. Right now it's in auto mode, which locks out most of the manual features, including backlight compensation. So I'll just switch it over to manual mode, and then I can fool around with the controls here. And if you push down on the joystick, you get this menu here for all the different settings, like exposure, white balance, aperture, shutter speed, your program AE modes, and finally you get the same ostentatious and overblown image effects like classic film, monotone, and sepia, which you might as well just do in video editing if you feel the need to use such annoying video effects. It also has an S-video output, which you don't really see anymore, at least not with the connector built in. Usually you get a proprietary jack and you need to buy a special AV cable to do that. On the back here, behind this little door, you get your regular composite and stereo audio AV output and a USB jack. You can see the accessory shoe right there. I don't see any metal contacts on it, so it's probably what's known as a cold shoe. Just a holder. There's no interfacing with the electronics of the camcorder. And then there's your zoom control on the top there. It has 10 times optical zoom and a lot of digital zoom, which you won't want to use anyway. Behind here is the hard drive. I believe it's a 1.8 inch hard drive, 30 gigs. And there's your DC input for the charger. Of course, your start-stop recording button. It even says Victor on the hand strap. On the bottom you get a worn out label for some reason. I don't know why it's so scratched up. You get the release button for the battery and a trapdoor for an SD card. Or in this case, somebody put in a micro SD to SD adapter, although there's no actual micro SD card in there, so that's a nice little bonus. So you can record either to the hard drive or to an SD card. Towards the front here you see what looks like a manual focus ring, but it's not. It's just decoration. You get a sort of a squared off lens hood and a flash for taking photos. There is no LED light built in for videos. Here is the built-in stereo microphone, and hiding behind a little tucked away door here is the stereo external microphone jack, which is nice to have. And you can turn on a level meter on the display when you're using the external microphone. It does not work though with the built-in microphone, unlike the Canon FS200, which I'm using right now. And there's your example of how it looks of a Sony external stereo microphone mounted on an accessory shoe. This is the ECM MS908C, a very good sounding stereo microphone, which can even give you somewhat of a surround sound effect if you switch it into 120 degrees mode. You get two different settings for the amount of stereo separation. And it has a built-in battery, so it works with both powered and unpowered microphone jacks. And you get a nice little windscreen on here. So that's a nice little add-on there. It certainly will do a lot better than the built-in microphone. I got it with two batteries, an original one here and a high capacity one here. Both are the original Japanese Victor batteries, lithium ion. This one's 1400 milliamp hours and this one's only 700 milliamp hours. Other accessories you got with it are a Victor shoulder strap, the AV cable and USB cable, both of which appear to be original JVC parts, as well as the AC adapter, rated for 100 to 240 volts, so it would be okay to use in Japan where their AC power is only 100 volts instead of the 120 we have here in the US. And finally, a little tiny remote control, more Japanese writing on it, and again, the Victor logo. The manuals are all in Japanese, so it's not much good to me, so that's why I went to JVC's website and printed out the English manual. One good thing is that you get software for both Windows and Macintosh, including an MPEG video editor program. More Japanese manuals. I think this is the software installation. There it says Windows. This one says Macintosh. This I think shows where all the service centers are in Japan with their phone numbers. And I've seen this before on Japanese market items. In the other Japanese product I had, it was also not filled out with anything. So I don't know if maybe this is the registration slip you're supposed to mail in. I don't know. Oh, it's a warranty. But I don't know why they printed it out on this multi-part form. I don't know if you're supposed to sign it and then send it in. I don't know. And here's the CD. You can see you get Cyberlink Power DV Power Director, although it's the cheapened out NE version, so probably half the features when you try to use it, it just pops up a message saying you got to buy the full version to use those features. And on the Mac you get the CAPD MPEG editor and a mono DVD player, which I assume actually plays in stereo, and that's just the name. Although obviously these are going to be old versions because this camcorder is from 2006. Now this model usually goes for over $300 on eBay, which is really quite surprising considering that it's not high definition and it's not really what you would consider a prosumer camcorder. But this one I was able to get for a much better price, probably because people were scared away of how it's a Victor from Japan and all the controls are in Japanese. Although the seller was actually in Wichita, Kansas of all places. And right now I'm going to give you some sample videos taken on this camcorder so you can see how it does.